Австралийн Welcome.
Сайн байцгаана уу хүнд үзэгчдээ. Өнөөдөр ороо манай Факто нэвтрүүлгийн зочноор холбооны Германы Фридрих-Эбертийн сангийн захирал ноён доктор Кристиан Крелл оролцож байна.
1997 оны 10 дугаар сараас 2003 оны 1 дугаар сар хүртэл Зиегений Их Сургуулийн улс төрийн шинжлэх ухаан Түүх Социологийн ангийг 1998 оны 4 дугаар сараас 2000 оны 6 дугаар сар хүртэл Йоркийн Их Сургууль, 2003 онд Магистерын зэрэг хамгаалсан, 2003 оны 10 дугаар сараас улс төрийн шинжлэх ухааны докторийн зэрэг хамгаалсан, 2003 оны 10 дугаар сараас 2006 оны 6 дугаар сар хүртэл Фридрих-Эбертийн сангийн онцгой авьяаснуудад олгодог тэтгэлгээр докторийн дараах сургалтанд хамрагдсан. Зиегений Их Сургуулийн профессор Гайслерийн оюутан туслахаар ажиллаж 1999 оны 2 дугаар сараас Лондонгийн Чаритигийн Community Heart дадлаг хийсэн. 2000 оны 9 дугаар сараас 10 дугаар сар хүртэл Фридрих-Эбертийн сангийн Берлин дэх улс төрийн боловсролын академид сэхэтнүүдийн диалог хэсэг дээр дадлаг хийсэн. 2001 оны 1 дугаар сараас 9 дугаар сар хүртэл Зиегений Их Сургуулийн профессор Варенхорстын оюутан туслахаар ажилласан. 2001 оны 11 дугаар сараас 2002 оны 8 дугаар сар хүртэл Дюссельдорф хотын ХБНГУ-ын зөвлөгөөгөх хувьцаат компани дэд бүтцийн үйлчилгээний төв дээр дадлаг хийж оюутан ажилтнаар ажилласан. 2001 оны 1 дугаар сараас 2005 оны 5 дугаар сар хүртэл Фридрих-Эбертийн сангийн улс төрийн академид хагас орон тооны референтээр ажилласан. 2005 оны 10 дугаар сараас Зиегений Их Сургуульд улс төрийн шинжлэх ухааны багшаар ажиллаж байна. 2006 оны 7 дугаар сараас Бонн хот дахь Фридрих-Эбертийн сангийн улс төрийн академийн ажилтнаар ажилласан. 2007 оны 4 дугаар сараас Фридрих-Эбертийн сангийн нийгмийн ардчлалын академийн захирлаар ажиллаж байна.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So what are you doing in Mongolia now?
Yeah, let me probably just explain what foundation I'm working for, and then it might be get more clear what I'm doing here. I'm working for the Friedrich-Ebert Foundation, as you said earlier. The Friedrich-Ebert Foundation is one of the big political foundations we have in Germany. It was founded in 1925, and it was founded in remembrance of Friedrich Ebert, the first democratically elected leader of Germany.
Which year that he was elected?
He was elected in 1918, after the Kaiser had to resign after we lost the First World War. And he left, I would say, a legacy to us. He said that democracy needs democrats. Very simple but very important, and that was his experience from being the first democratically elected leader, that it's not enough to have democratic institutions and parties and legislation. It also has to be in the mind of the people, the democratic principle. It's a question of
people to be democrats.
Yes.
Actually, that's what he wanted.
Exactly.
How long he was in president?
He was 7 years president.
Till 25.
Till 25, exactly.
And why it is founded after, why, I mean, what happened after he is not president anymore? Yeah.
Then when he died, he said, I want to educate people in political science. It was written in his testament when he died. And then he said, please don't give flowers to my funeral, but donate money to found a political foundation.
Wow. And that happened in 1925?
That happened in 1925. And then the Friedrich-Ebert Stiftung was founded. And then, as you know, a couple of years later, there was the Nazi dictatorship.
Yes.
The FES, which is close to the Social Democrats, was banned. But then in 1945, we were refounded, we were founded again. And of course, the need for political education was clearer than ever. And so we expanded our activities, and today the Friedrich-Ebert Stiftung has offices in around about 100 countries worldwide. We're trying to promote a specific idea of democracy, I would say, the idea of a social democracy, which of course means that you...
So this is in a way can one regard this foundation as a foundation of German Social Democratic Party, or it is broader context?
It is close to the German Social Democrats, and it shares the same values, but we are not part of the SPD. We are independent from the SPD, so we are close, we are friends, but we are not part of the SPD.
During the whole years, how long SPD was in power?
Yes.
Or is in power? How long?
It was in power from 1966 till 1982, and again from 1989 till 2009.
2009. And do you think it's because the German general population knowledge on political education became stronger, or what was the reason why the Social Democrats took power that long?
I think there were several reasons. After the Second World War, we had a conservative government.
Yes.
And the Social Democrats were losing one election after the other. And there were two reasons for that. I think the population wanted stability, therefore they voted for the conservatives. And they had a very popular slogan, which was, "Don't do any experiments which might lead to socialism." And they were very successful in connecting social democracy with socialism, which they connected also to Moscow and the Eastern Bloc and all that kind of unattractive things. And,
but however, during the Cold War, it was in power.
Yes, the mood changed.
I see.
This conservative government wasn't anymore in tune with the public feeling. The Social Democrats were a more progressive, more liberal and more open-minded party, and therefore they were able to take power.
So now the Friedrich-Ebert Foundation, how active are you in Germany itself, after in particular the reunification?
Yes, the reunification was of course an enormous task for us. We tried to promote democracy, political education in the eastern part of Germany as well. We have around about 400 employees in Germany, 400, 450, and in each Bundesland, in each federal state, we have an office and we do activities there.
In which form do you organize that political education in such a mature, say, country like Germany today? In which form you do it?
We do mostly seminars, conferences, big conferences, and we do publications. We publish studies, for instance, on the state of democracy, on current problems and issues.
So please tell us your connection with Mongolia from the beginning.
Well, I first had, I was talking to Uyuna, a close friend of mine, as I should say now, and she's leading the office of the FES here in Ulaanbaatar. She told me about the situation in Mongolia, where you have several parties, and some of the parties are interested in the concept of social democracy. And she thought it might be an interesting idea to have a discussion on that concept of democracy between me heading the Academy for Social Democracy in Germany and some Mongolian politicians and young people who are going to be politicians.
But your foundation is very active for quite some time in Mongolia.
Yes, yes it is.
Since which year?
I think now it's the 18th year of their activities in Mongolia.
18th?
Yeah.
1-8?
Yeah.
Well, this is to be about what, 95?
Yeah,
95. And see, 95 and today, certainly Mongolian, the voters' mind and understanding and knowledge on political system is different. How do you see today's level of Mongolian voters' knowledge about political system and their political role of political parties?
I was struck by their interest in the political debates we had. And when we were discussing several issues, I had the impression that there were from time to time some misunderstandings. Some people, as far as I can see, confused, for instance, capitalism with democracy. They associated too close together. But in general, I had the pleasure to talk to very well-educated and very passionate people. And I gave some lectures on this concept of social democracy, on the idea that social democracy needs a social overtone, it needs a strong welfare state and a fair capitalistic system. And what was fascinating for me was how they did not only listen to me and were eager to understand what I was saying, but they also tried to adapt it to the Mongolian situation. So they went a level higher. To the next step.
Welcome. Then why do you think that capitalism is not a democracy? It is not associated, or it is not the same thing? Why do you think so?
No, don't get me wrong. Of course, democracy and capitalism, they are not the same. One thing describes how you decide within a society, and capitalism describes how you organize an economy. So there are two different things. I don't want to say that they can't work together. On the contrary, I would say when you look at it from a historic point of view, you can clearly see that there where democracy developed, also capitalism developed.
Yeah, okay. Your point is that you don't say that it cannot work together. It can work together.
Yes.
On the contrary. And so in a certain way, they mutually support each other in a way. In particular in Mongolia, Mongolia is a country where we do political and economic transformation at the same time. Transition, how we call it, transition to market economy, transition to democratic society, unlike our neighbors. So that's why people probably associate it together.
Yes.
And that's the issue. So how to convince people during this transition that democracy is as good as the capitalism, as a free market economy. That's the hardship. What is the hardship to your understanding in Mongolia, I think, in this sense?
I had a bit different view, I have to say. My impression was that people are disappointed of capitalism and blame democracy for that. Because they see rising inequalities within the society, which is, of course, a Mongolian problem, but of course it's also a problem within Germany. What my message would be that it depends, of course, on the concept of capitalism you have. Certainly, capitalism produces inequalities. And if it produces too much inequalities, if you have a totally unregulated capitalism, it will be a massive challenge for democracy, because democracy is based on equality and the same rights for everyone. And
yes. You said unregulated capitalism may produce more inequality, you said.
Yes.
So which part of things or the relations to be in capitalism to be regulated to your opinion?
I think there's a whole bunch of things you have to think about. I think it's worthwhile to look at capitalism in reality, not about different theories, but in reality. And when you look at capitalism in reality, how it works, you see, at least in the democratic states, two concepts of capitalism. There's an Anglo-Saxon model, which is more liberal, and there's a kind of coordinated model, which you have, for instance, in the Scandinavian states, and they differ in various ways. They differ, for instance, in the level of trade union density, they differ in the kind of regulation, they differ in the kind of labor force regulation. And interestingly, both concepts are successful when you look at their growth rates and when you look on the global capitalism. They're both successful, but they have, of course, very different outcomes when it comes to the society. This kind of coordinated capitalism you see in the Scandinavian states, I'm sure you know very well as an economist. They produce more equal societies in the end, where the disparity between the poor and the rich is not as big. Whereas in the US, we see, of course, growing inequalities.
Good observation. If you compare Anglo-Saxon model, which is Britain and Germany in a way, and America and all more bigger capitalism more. There is a more inequality compared to Scandinavian, as you said, coordinated. Do you teach about this? How does it work, your education system? You are working with Academy for Social Democracy. How does it work? Do you provide curriculum, or how does it work?
Yes, we do it as you described it. We provide a curriculum, we do seminars, we try to give seminars on the basic concept of social democracy, and then we look into different political areas like economy, like welfare state and globalization and all that kind of things. And then we try to figure out what would be a position which is based on the values of social democracy. That's the first step. And then we look on the second step, what would be the instruments to implement a politic which is based on the values of social democracy.
How long you have been working with Mongolia? I mean, you are obviously, you have been working with the foundation for quite some time. Now you are in charge of the foundation, right?
I am in charge of the Academy for Social Democracy.
Academy of Social Democracy.
Yeah.
Here?
No, in Germany.
In Germany.
Right.
So you have so we have here also Academy for Social Democracy, no?
We have here a Friedrich-Ebert Foundation, and Friedrich-Ebert Foundation is the institution I'm working with and the department of that Friedrich-Ebert Foundation.
How big your foundation is in Mongolia? How much money you spend overall?
I don't know, to be honest, how much money we spend. We have 5 people here in Mongolia.
And do they support particular political party or political system in general you work here?
We work with several political parties.
Okay. So non-unilateral, uni-party system. You work here for political education of Mongolians, right?
Yes, but let me clarify that. That's true. We are, of course, open-minded and we believe in a pluralistic system.
Okay.
But we are left-wing. We share the values of the Social Democrats, and therefore, of course, we are looking for partners who share the same values as we do. And we find these partners today in the Mongolian People's Party and the Mongolian Revolutionary People's Party.
People's Party, Revolutionary People's Party.
Exactly.
More or less you are, it's relatively in our political spectrum, they're a little bit left. But the Democratic Party, we expect to be right. They are sort of in that our value scale. They are almost in the middle, if not the left side. So, what to do for ordinary Mongolians? What do you think?
Yeah, it's a difficult situation we are facing in Germany as well, because the conservatives are going to the middle ground, where the center-left party, the Social Democrats, are also. During the last election campaign, you know, we had just elections 2 months ago. It was very difficult for the German Social Democrats to make their point clear, because every time when they said we want this, the conservatives also said we want this in more or less the same way.
Now that brings an interesting question about the role of opposition party in the society. In particular, young society, democratic society like Mongolia. We have a problem when these 2 major political parties are in coalition. We stay without opposition. What they do? They create more corruption. What do you think?
Yes, of course, there's a difficulty that the grand coalition can cause corruption. There's a tremendous difficulty with that. And as far as I can see, Mongolia has that severe problem, yes.
Okay, so first of all, I mean, for economic development which makes the wealth, right? Political system is to be whatever, depending on, because it's democratic society, people vote on camps and they vote, they sometimes, but in a country like Mongolia, coalition, in particular grand coalition, is not good idea at all. That's what our general understanding in Mongolia.
Yeah.
So you would share that with me.
I would say it depends. And let me again, if I dare to refer to the German discussion, because we are now discussing whether we should go in a grand coalition as well. There doesn't seem to be another option. people have voted, and there's just one plausible option to form this grand coalition.
See, because the position of the political power in after election, they just for the sake of not running election, they go for coalition. Otherwise, there will another very expensive election, like country like in Germany, in Mongolia. Now, because they exactly the same with the political reason, they create coalition, and we stay, whole country stay without opposition, which says without monitoring, without evaluation. Let me tell you one thing, and you please explain. When our two larger party were in a coalition, they call it the standard, non-standard solution, whatever. What they made is, they made political decisions together that they will make houses, a palace for their political party. And they took our budget money and they created a big house and called it Independence Palace. I mean, how you take money from a poor country, money for political party palace? Please explain, how does it work? I mean, in which country does it work in this way?
I think I didn't follow that in detail, so I can't comment on that.
Then in Germany, but how your political parties are financed from the state?
We are partly state financed. We are also financed by donors, but the most money we get from our members, of course. And you have to publish a balance sheet at the end of the year. Which money do you receive, from whom you receive the money, and how do you spend your money, so that there is a high level of transparency.
Do you have from the state budget money?
Yes, we have state budget money, and it depends on the number of votes you got at the last election.
I see. So, number of seats you have in the parliament. If you have a larger one, you have a larger money from the budget.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And you said that it will cost. It is of also members' fee.
Yes.
And at the end, they publish a financial statement.
Yes.
And if they don't publish, what happens?
They won't get state money.
Well, in Mongolia, they get it anyway. They never publish it, and they even keep secret. And what happens during the political election? They, until now, even the ruling party, have not publishing how much they have spent and how true, I mean, we don't know how true the statements they are making on their political financing, in particular election financing. How the poor Mongolians to know?
I think the answer, or the question is, of course, what to do.
Yes.
Yes. And I think the answer is, in a way, contradictory. I think most people, they look at politics and they have the impression, of course, there's corruption, and they go away from politics. And I would say they have to do it the other way around. They have to go into politics. They have to be active. They have to go into the parties. And if they don't like the party, they should open their own party. But they have to be part of the political process. That's the only way to deal with that, I would argue.
Very interesting approach, because now there is a big tend to go away.
Yeah.
And now sort of, whoa, for example, people are getting more or less popular, then they're asking, he's doing it because he wants to be elected, which was the case before. Now even they ask me, when you will go to a politician, I say, no, why you should go. But what you are saying is vice versa. Go inside, fight, and change.
Exactly. Change.
If necessary, make new political party. But that's the freedom, right? And so, your political parties, Christian Democrats, right, Social Democrats, you have on headquarters, and that headquarters is made of which money?
It's
fee.
It's by, of course, the member of the money of the party members, and
donations.
Donations, probably, yes.
Okay, if somebody donate money, you know, in this country, our businessmen donate big money.
Yeah.
Big money. And they become a political member. And we don't know exactly how much. We have only rumor, but we don't know exactly how much this guy donated.
Of course, the answer would be transparency.
Yeah. So in Germany, it's transparent. They know.
Yes.
Is it tax exempted or not? the money you didn't donate to your political party,
Yes.
would it be regarded, I mean, is it how related to tax? How it will work?
If you spend money on a party, if you don't donate money to a party, you will get tax relief for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's, which is good incentives for people to also donate to a political
Yeah.
party. Well, in that sense, the sense of financing and the reporting, our political parties are not political parties. They're not reporting, and that's why people are getting angry, you see. Because in this country you are rich, you can buy everything. It's only issue is how much it will cost you.
And
So that's the political education situation.
Yeah, and that's again a problem for democracy. Of course, it's a problem for democracy.
So
because
what is your solution? What do you suggest?
Democracy is based on the belief that everybody is equal and has equal rights, right?
But in reality it is not. And you need to control it.
You need to control it, and you need to enable people to be active in democracy. And I would say, well, we are talking, of course, about freedom when we talk about the democracy. We're talking that every individual has the freedom to live a life as free as he wants to, as long as he doesn't harm others. And when you look closer at freedom, there are two concepts of freedom. There's this concept of freedom as negative rights that protect you from encroachment by the state. The state should not interfere. Yeah? Protects you from bodily harm, it's the freedom of speech, etc. And there's another concept of freedom called the positive liberty rights, which is, for instance, the right to have a shelter, food, education, all that kind of things. And neoliberals or libertarians, they would argue that it's fine when we have this first category of rights. But social democrats would argue that you have to have necessarily also the second category of rights. You have to have a proper welfare state, because otherwise this formal freedom you gave the people, it's in a way empty. Yeah, if you don't have a proper education, you can't take advantage of your right to speak out free. So I would argue it's of course also a question of the welfare state, of education, yeah, that people are able to go into democracy.
I understand and I support what you are saying. And at which level of our development we have to make this statements very clearly, we don't know yet. Because both are now big, confused, put into one big pot, and bringing both by political parties from both sides, and they see, in a way, they buy voters' election vote, giving them cash, even today. Not straight like last time, but they still give them money. And that creates such a big state that is usually inefficient, because the money they are gathering just giving away. How to solve this issue?
Of course, it depends what you do with the money. It's not, I would say, the size of the state at all. It depends, of course, what you do with the money. And again, I've got a more optimistic view than you have, because I had this pleasure to talk to these young politicians. They were so...
That's good. I like it. If you have more than me, I'm happy with my country, yes.
Yes.
What makes you that optimistic?
They were so eager to change things. Yeah, they were really clever, were bright, intelligent, passionate people, and they wanted to make a change. They wanted to make, in the broad sense, a better Mongolia. And they were willing to give what they could give to make this change. We made a seminar with them 2 days, and it was a fantastic experience.
Up to now, I have gone through all the sort of changes and you see a lot of young people. But unfortunately, up to now, after all these good trainings, workshops, everything, they become a part of young wing of a political party, and they became another bureaucrats. In some cases, even worse bureaucrats than even before, because now we are having less skills, okay, bureaucrats. Demographic situation in the country is like this. So, in general, how do you see that?
I hope you're wrong, because if you're right,
I really want to be wrong here.
I know, because if you're right, there's no hope. Yeah, and that's of course a dramatic situation for a society. You know, we are of course following Obama in these days, very critical. There are all the scandals about NSA and his healthcare system doesn't start so perfect as we wanted it to be. But he made one important thing. He said that you can make a change. Yeah, he started a movement, and I think that's of tremendous importance, and you need such feeling and hope.
Okay, speaking about Obama, how do you think, how successful is he now in his reform of social care, Obamacare, how it is called now?
Yes.
What do you think? How successful he is now?
Well, when we from Europe look at the United States, we have from time to time a skeptic view. You know, we have a higher level of social welfare than they usually have in the United States, and we can't really understand that.
In Germany, you have good system.
But I think it's, of course, a question of political culture as well. This first category of rights I was talking about later has much more importance in the United States than it has in Europe. And so it's a question of political culture as well, and he is limited, he is bound within that political culture, and of course he has to resonate with his own country and his population, and therefore he probably does not go as far as we Europeans want him to go. But even though he has made a tremendous change, for instance, this healthcare it's a kind of revolution, I would say. And of course, there are problems.
Certainly, the Republicans don't think so, and they are fighting with that.
They think it's a revolution too, but a bad revolution.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a socialism for them, I know.
Mr. Krell, I have a last small group of questions,
Yes.
which is big concern for Mongolians. Today, our political parties on both sides, surprisingly now, suggesting that, let's have a party without members. Let's have not, in the sense, I mean, not registered members. Okay, suppose it is there.
Yes.
We don't have a person is not a political party member, just supporter of any one of them. How does it work? Where does it work? Tell us. Can it work?
I think there are two concepts. There's one concept of a one-party, of a one-man party. We have that, for instance, with Berlusconi's party in Italy. It was, when it started, a one-man party without any membership.
Oh, we used to have a couple of them.
Right.
Not very active now.
And we had that in the Netherlands as well with Gerd Wilders, a right-wing populist. So we didn't make a good experience with that. But there's another concept, and I understood the discussions here in Mongolia that they are going into the direction of the other concept, that you have a core membership, but you are also open to other interested citizens. We are in Germany now, within the German Social Democratic Party, discussing how we should open our party. You know, we have a large membership, 480,000 members, but the membership is declining. And we want to resonate more with the public. We want to get more in touch with the people. And therefore, we opened our party and we discussed very intense how much we open it. And now we found a compromise. We debate the issues, the content of our politics, of course, with everybody. But when it comes to decisions about the personal, about two candidates, it's still limited to the party members. Because there has to be a distinction between being a party member and not being a party member.
So you talk about core membership. So when our Mongolian politicians talk about not hard membership party, they probably talk about core political party with a core membership, and the rest can be supporter. And then how and who will, among that party with only few core membership, and first question, how many members to be a core members? because it may be it end up maybe a one party, one man party in Mongolia too. Whoever gets the rich, he will buy the rest.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
It's of course also a question of the party system and the party law you have.
No, they talk about the changing of the party law.
Right.
So they talk about the membership, and you talk. You say about the co-membership. So when we talk about no hard membership political party, we still mean that that political party has still a core membership, right?
Right. Yes, and I would say that it is wise in a way for a party to have lots of members, of course, not only for democratic reasons, but the party members, they can have two very important functions. They can send, of course, the message of the party to the people, and I think they can do it usually with more credibility than the big party boss can do it via the media. Yeah. If you talk to your neighbor, you have more credibility than a person who is very distant. And on the other hand, they can bring the public opinion within the party. So it works in both ways. And therefore, I would say that it's important and wise for a party to have as much members as possible, of course.
See, on the other hand, your country, 80 million population, and the second largest political party has less than 500,000 people as party member. Take Mongolia. We have 3 million people, and People's Party claim that they have 750,000 people. I mean, just twice less than yours. But the country we have 25 times more. How do you see that?
Well, you said they claim they have so much members. We have to clarify if it's a claim or if it's a fact, of course.
How?
By the parties have to check that and have to clear that, and there should be an institution who takes control of that. But there were, at least in the German history, there were tendencies. The party membership was going up and down, and we had sort of cycles. We had a very politicized era in the 70s, I would say, and since the early 80s, the number of party members is declining, and now we see that it is growing a bit, or at least it's stable, which is progress. It's stable because parties tend to be more open. The party I am a member of, the Social Democratic Party, they started, when they did the election campaign, they started in a way a very old-fashioned thing. They went from door to door talking to the people. They didn't invest so much into a big conferences and that kind of thing, big campaign, but they went from door to door and talked to the people, started to talk about their daily life, and from that point they went on talking about feeling of justice they have or injustice, and talked about politics, and that was a very, very good and wise decision, I would say, because politics and people get in touch much more.
But in general, to get elected to be a member of Bundestag on a seat, per seat, if you calculate how much does it cost?
You can't calculate.
Why?
Because it depends, of
the
course.
General political campaign of your political party,
yes,
and that person report also his cost, then you can calculate?
Yes, but I would say you can't buy a secret seat, or you can't buy a safe seat. You can't buy it. You have to convince the members within your party. You can't buy them.
No, here they what happens in Mongolia is as soon as they donate millions of dollars to your political party, you are number one. That's Mongolia today. No matter what you have been doing, you are number one. So that's the system you are working. By the way, Mongolia is like this. My last question is usually I ask, but I would suggest you to, because now our time is short and finished, and what you would advise as a person, social democrat, as a person representing this big, respected, esteemed foundation, which at times played an important role even for Mongolia, what would be your message to Mongolian people?
I would say go into politics, do something, change something. You can make a change. That would be my message.
Fantastic message. Thank you, Mr. Krell.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you.